Hi guys, it's Dakota. Happy New Year 2024. Yay. If you are new here to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. I hope that you enjoy the content. I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will leave a comment saying hello and what you practice or what you enjoy doing, a little bit about yourself if you want. But I'm just really grateful that you're here, and I hope you enjoy everything. I don't get paid from YouTube. I don't have sponsors or any of that, so that's not why I want you to subscribe. I just like to see those numbers grow. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. If you already subscribed, welcome back, guys. Good to see you again. And I hope that everyone had a great, if you celebrate, season. I hope that you all enjoyed it. And if you don't celebrate, I still hope you all enjoyed it. Uh, yeah, 24. Here we are, 2024. I would like to say that, wow, 2023 flew by. But it did, but it didn't. Because while I'm going through 23, I was like, come on, and then when it hit, I was like, holy smokes, it's New Year's Eve. What happened to 23? So I think sometimes when we're going through stuff, it seems to drag on, and so then we look forward to the new year and what's going to come of the new year. So that being said, I have been sitting with this since December and before Christmas because I was already thinking about, I can't wait for 23 to end. And then I was thinking, well, yeah, it wasn't a terrible year. It wasn't a terrible year like, oh my gosh, get this over with. It wasn't like that. But it wasn't like, oh, I hope this year never ends. I love this year. It wasn't like that either. Okay, so it had its ups and downs, as do most years. You know, there's trials and tribulations. So I call that growth. I call that take a minute, sit with what happened, sit with that energy, figure it out. How can you make it benefit you? And sometimes the answer is not always pleasant. Um, when we have to maybe remove ourselves from a situation, it's not always easy, or just, just whatever. A lot of times we don't want to own responsibility for ourselves. We don't want to own our own feelings, our own moods, our own energy. We want to blame it on the world, blame it on everybody else. It's not me, it's everybody else. If everybody else was this way, I wouldn't be this way. That isn't true, and it just isn't true. Nobody else can really control your energy unless you allow it. Okay, so then that's you. That's you allowing it. This is how I feel. I'm not a doctor, not a psychiatrist, psychologist. I'm not even a spiritual coach, counselor, life coach. I'm none of that. I'm none of that. This is just me, how I think and how I work. So I'm going to be looking at my notes. Okay, so 23 it was a weird year. I will just say that. It was a weird year. And what happened was I usually am able to control my emotional, how can I say this? Um, hmm, hmm, hmm. I don't really, I'm a firm believer in that if somebody has an opinion, or if the guy in front of you is driving too slow, or the guy behind you is tailgating you, or whatever the situation, that has absolutely nothing to do with you. That is none of your business. Whether somebody likes you or not is none of your business. Whether somebody agrees with your opinion is none of your business. Is none of your business. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I do try my very hardest to own that myself, so that when somebody is trying to force their opinion on me, or turn a situation around and make me the bad guy, I just go, okay, I mean, that has nothing to do with me. That's entirely up to you, and you need to own that. Just like I'm owning, okay, okay. I mean, if you don't like me, okay. I'm not going to conform who I am and be who I'm not to make you comfortable. Does that make sense? That is not to say that if I feel like being disrespectful, I'll be disrespectful. That is not what I mean. And I think you know that. It isn't what I mean. I just mean I'm just who I am. I do know how to be professional, and I do know how to be respectful, and I do know how to carry on conversations with people without getting in their face and going, really? Oh, well, that's your business, none of mine. I do. I mean, really, come on. So, 23 was a weird year. It was a weird year for me because I sort of lost touch with my own practice of that practice of I'm an alone person. I I am an alone person. My circle is probably that. And maybe one or two of those includes my horse and my cat. I don't know. Maybe my husband. um, but is very very small, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller. It's I won't. I just there's certain things now that I'm not going to tolerate. If you don't like it, then move on with your life. I'm okay with that. Whatever you have to say about me, I mean that because that's your opinion, and that's how you took it. That's how you felt. So you need to sit with that and work that out. And if you've worked it out that I'm not your person, then I'm not your person. I'm okay with that. I get it. I get it. A lot of people aren't my people, so I get it. So anyway, all right. So a lot of things, and I take classes all year long. I am always involved in groups in just like small classes. Sometimes it's just a couple of hour online course, class, whatever. I'm very involved in that. And I also want to say that you should as well. If you're trying to grow and you're trying to gain as much knowledge as you can about your path, whether it is the path of witchcraft, maybe you're a druid, maybe you're a Norse, maybe you're Buddhist, maybe you're a Christian, whatever it is, it's always a good idea to take as many classes as you can. What I have found is there's been several teachers that I don't jive with whatsoever. I don't like them. I think they're controlling. I think they're egoed out. I don't like their personality or whatever. However, I signed up for the course. Maybe I paid for the course and I'm going to take the course. Um, and so maybe the information that I got was phenomenal. And maybe I, maybe the information was horrible. Maybe the information was like, yeah, I will never use that. And here's the thing though, you still got the knowledge. That now you know not to waste time on learning on studying that because that's not your thing. So you learned that that wasn't your thing, but while learning that you also learned a little bit about that. So do you know, like, so if somebody asked a question you could go, oh, you know what, I took this class, it really wasn't my thing, but they talked specifically about that, and I remember they said blah blah blah. It's knowledge. You can't go wrong with knowledge, really. It's great. So, all right. So 23, and I got caught up in playing the, you know, poke, poke, poke. I got involved in that unintentionally. I don't know. Maybe I snapped. I just broke. Whatever. It happened. Also during 23, I sort of, and I have done this very often, not very often, at least once a year, maybe once every other year, where I get kind of, and I don't mean to, it's not intentional, it just kind of happens, where I do have a devotional practice, and every month there is a devotional thing that I do, and then a couple times a year there's a big ritual thing. And 23 was the year that I just sort of went, it's almost like losing contact with, or not really becoming stagnant in my practice, but not really being, I want to say being motivated to do the practice, but that's not it either. I do devotions every day, but I don't sit in front of my altar and light the candles and do the whole thing. But it's just, it's just, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing my monthly practice that I normally do. I started to become kind of not withdrawn from it intentionally, but just wasn't doing it. I just wasn't doing it. That's the bottom line. I just wasn't doing it. And I think the reason is because I was so involved in the BS energy that was going on that, and I just allowed myself to get into that energy, to let that energy get into me, really. This is how it worked. So in December, I went upstairs. It was day off, and I went upstairs, which is my devotional room, and I sat down in my meditation chair. And when I sat down, I was mad, I was pissed off, I was frustrated. I just was like, what the hell, like what? I hate this. I don't like this. I'm going to do something about it. I'm tired of bitching about it. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of feeling about it, so sorry, I had a cough. So the only way that can get corrected is me. Me working on me. And sorry, I had a coughing attack. So I did a whole thing. Not going to go into it here. Personal. So I'm not going to go into it. So I did a whole thing. Basically like a cleansing, and I did some shadow working and on myself. Just not. I don't have any traumas. I don't. I swear. Honestly, I can look you in the eyes and look you in the computer eye and tell you, I don't have like childhood, adult trauma. I don't have trauma. I had a good life. I have a good life. I have a good life. Has shit happened? Yeah. Oh, I said shit. Yeah, of course. I mean, come on. We're human. We live in life, and life has things. Yeah, I mean, I've had some things, that are, not good things, but they weren't traumas. So, so I sat down. I did this whole thing, and when I got done, I went over and I just wanted to do a weekly pool of tarot. And I don't ever ask any questions. I just lay it out there and I go, universe, what do you got for me? Laid it out, and it, it is one of those things where you're like, okay, you got anything else? Because like you're literal now you're putting salt in the wound, dude. That's kind of how I felt. I was like, it was wake up. It was wake up. What are you doing? Like, wake up. And later on, maybe a day or two, I had this incredible download. That's what I call it. It's a download. It's an aha, but it was profound. Wrote everything down, did all the thing. And so then I sat down again. I sat down again with that, with all of my notes that I wrote about this download that specifically came from deity. I know this now. I keep getting little bits and pieces, but when it came like a bucket full of ice water. Seriously. I keep getting little bits and pieces. So I keep, I got my phone with me all the time. It has Notepad on it. I'm constantly putting little notes on there when I go up, and I'll write it in. And so I look at it this way. What we should do at the end of the year, and this is what I did for New Year's. This is what I did. So at the end of the year, if we think of ourselves, and this is if you are looking for the knowledge, whatever that is to you. For me, it's spiritual knowledge. It's just spiritual knowledge. I work with the ancestors. That is my tradition. I work very closely with the ancestors. I work with spirit guides, the universe. I call the universe, and maybe it's all one, and of course, I work with deity. So at the end of the year, I think you need to sit. This is what I did. I sat and I just I didn't have a timeline. I could care less about the timeline. I just started writing things that I remembered, the pros and the cons of 23. I lost some friends. Those are cons. They're deceased. They crossed over and they're no longer with us. One happened November 18th, and it was a very hard one for me. So those were all cons. There was some crap energy. Wrote that down. These are the pros. I wrote that down, and then I sat with that and I went, so what about these cons? Like, what about these cons did I learn? And how can I use them in 24 and maybe future to my benefit? What did I learn from them that will benefit me in the future? Because if we just take a con and we dwell on it, and we boohoo about it, or we fall into depression over it, and again, I'm not a doctor, psychiatrist, and none of that. So if you think that it is an actual health issue, please go get help for that. But if it's something like, I'll use my friend. Okay, so my friend passed away, or maybe it was a relative, or maybe it was a good friend that you guys broke up, or whatever. How can you take that emotion and not ignore it, but work with it? How can you make that stronger within you? How can it benefit you? So by the end of this work that I was doing for New Year's, I envisioned, and I wished I would have had one, and I will probably do this. I was doing some spell work. Maybe I will do it next weekend, even though it's past the New Year. It's close enough, right? So close enough, just to kind of show you. I wanted a sea sponge. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like they're called sea sponge. Um, because the work that I was doing had to do with emotions. And guess what, my friends that know me as the pyro of the group, yes, I am the fire girl, even though I'm an air sign. Hey, fire needs air to live. I'm just saying. I love fire. I love working with fire. And if you're new here, most of my videos you'll see they're candles. It's always fire. But even though this spell work that I was putting together, I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet because I didn't have everything I needed. But there is candles involved, so fire's still there. But there's water. Yes, there's water, because water is emotion. Water, and that is what, and I told you, I was riding that wave. I got into the water that was mucky as hell. I got into that mucky water and was just trying to swim through it, and I couldn't get through it. And once I got, once I got out of that mucky water, I was full of mud. And instead of showering off, I just left the mud as a reminder that I was, I was riding the wave, the water. So the spell work is about water. And the tarot reading, I think I mentioned that. I can never remember what I'm talking about. I did a tarot pull at the end of my angriness, and I pulled that. And let me just tell you that it was, water. And it was, and I had just done the cleansing. Oh my God, I just now thought of that. I had just done the cleansing. So, and it was a very interesting, cool way of cleansing, aligning, and balancing my chakras, because I felt like I was just all jacked up. I did. And usually I will lay out on the floor. I put crystals and I grid around my body. I lay the stones. I didn't feel like getting on the floor. I didn't want to lay down on the floor. I have a bad back. It hurts me to lay on the floor. So I didn't want to lay on the floor because I was here at my house. I don't have my Reiki bed is at my shop. And I just didn't want to lay on the floor. And then I would have to get the stones and lay the stone. I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it. It was adding to my no, I don't want to do it. So when I did those chakras, I'm just going to tell you this because I'm not going to tell you anymore. It was different, and it was fierce. It was fierce. And while I was doing it, I was like, "Whoa, girl, you better calm down." And but I didn't. And I know now that is exactly what I needed to do. And everything is coming together. Everything. This download, Mario Witch leveled up to the point that I almost was pinching myself, going, okay, I'm still here, right? Because I'm not ready to go yet. Like, I'm still here. I don't want to be that, I want to be that close, but I don't want to be that close, I know that sounds really horrible, but I've never felt, I have had downloads. I've had levels. I have. Leveled up in Reiki, and Reiki 1 to Master Teacher, which, by the way, that came into this whole thing too. Reiki practice, initiating into my coven, those things really came into this, and that was, you don't just, and I don't mean any disrespect. This is just me again. Okay, so no disrespect to those of you who have either done this or do this or whatever. I am Usui trained. My lineage is Usui, Mikao Usui, in Reiki, and I have done 4 levels. Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Reiki 3. My Reiki master teacher did Reiki 4 separate, and Reiki 4 was master teacher. So, but here's the thing. That was done over the course of probably 2 years, because you don't take Reiki in a 4 or a 6 hour class and come out as a Reiki master teacher. You don't know Reiki. You haven't worked Reiki. You haven't practiced Reiki. You barely know the symbols. And it's the same with initiation. If when you initiate into a coven, and I'm giving kudos to my coven, first degree, in that I said after first degree, I'm done, bit, no way, not for me. And they laughed. And 2 months later, hey, I'm ready too. And they were like, be one for a minute, do your work. You did a year's class, do the work. And then, so it was, all these things were flooding into my head. But more than that, way deeper than that, answers were given that I've had my entire life, really. Incredible. So my bottom line on this subject, and then I'm going to go, is write out your pros and cons of your year of 23. It's not going to hurt you. Write it out. What were the best things that you had? And it could be something simple like, went for coffee with the girls and we laughed. We had such a great time. That's a memory. You're going to remember that. It was a good time. It felt good. That's a con. That's a pro. And then went to work and this happened and that was terrible, or got in a fight and that was terrible. That's a con. And then how can you absorb the positives? You don't need to absorb. You already have them. Those are great memories. We're going to remember those, right? We're going to cherish those. You could do some gratitude for those if you want. But what about the bads? Are we just going to let them sit there? Are you going to let them sit there? Because, kind of like like a plant. Like a weed. If the weed gets water, it's going to grow. So I want to, a dandelion is a weed, but guess what? I like the dandelions. So I don't want to kill it. I'm not going to go over and dig it up and throw it away. Or, I do want it to grow, but I want it to grow in a way that will help me. Dandelion tea, dandelion as an offering. I want to be able to use it. So take the cons. And what about those things at the time were not serving your highest good? How can you make them serve your highest good and use them as a power source for yourself, as a way to level up? Be the sponge. Take the cons, soak them up. Getting an idea of ritual or of spell work for the new year? I hope I can find a sponge. I don't know where I can get one. If anybody knows where I can get one, I don't want to have to order it and wait, because I want to do this coming up. I don't want it to get too far past the first little section of the year. Sea sponge. Where can I get one locally? And doesn't have to be giant. It can be small. It can be small. I just want one. And I'm going to soak up those cons, and then I'm going to work on those cons one by one. I've written them down. I wrote them down. Not since 24, which was yesterday. I'm not writing last year's cons in 24. So you could take your pros of 23 and do some work to make those grow into 24. But we don't want the cons to grow into 24, but we want to learn from them, and then use those to our benefit, not out of revenge, not out of spite, not out of that, because everything has a consequence. So, but to overcome that and go, like, well, maybe you're not with that person now because it would have been twice as bad as it was then. Or you got fired from your job. Well, maybe that was an opportunity. Now you have time to go look for a better job. There's a way. There's a way to shift that energy and create power from it. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today was this Mario Witch level up, and I am thrilled. I have classes that we're going to be doing this year at my shop. If you are a watcher from my store, a customer, friend, we will not be doing the witchcraft year-long course this year. Again, I know, but there will be the monthly classes. Some of them are going to be really fun. All of them are going to be really fun. See how I changed that? That was easy. I just realized I went, some. No, not some, all of them. And I'll probably, no, not probably. I'm going to be doing the Reiki attunement throughout the year, so Reiki 1, 2, and 3. And I'm also teaching a tarot course this year. The 13 weeks and a 13-week long course. And that information will be posted on our page as soon as I get the dates figured out. I just now got the 24 calendar, so I'm trying to go through it. All right, that's what I have to say. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you just found this channel, hello, I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're a subscriber and you watch my channel, you know, I'm just so grateful that you keep coming back and watching and leaving sweet comments. And I really enjoy it. I do know that I talk a lot, but yeah, that's what I do. That's who I am. That's who I am. All right. So, okay, I'm being silly now. I need to do like some outtakes. You wouldn't believe how many times I have to I don't edit, and obviously I don't have special lighting. So, yeah, if I mess up a lot of times, depending on how far I've gone into it, I might delete the whole video and start over. Okay. Happy 2024. Enjoy life. My gosh, enjoy it. It's just, it's too short, man. It's too short. And that's so, but it's the truth. You know, I'd rather spend every day enjoying walking the woods, being grateful, than to be you know, and not feeling good about life. I don't like that. So, all right. With that being said, Happy New Year once again. Enjoy. I will see you maybe next week. If somebody can tell me where I can get a sea sponge, has to be a sea sponge. I don't know why, because that's what the universe has directed me to do. So, until next time. Also, if you hit that little bell thing, that little notification thing, that'll let you know when I do post a video. Because like I said, usually it's every other week, but I really want to do a video next week with the spell to show you what I'm talking about. Like you can actually see my spell. All right, that's it. That's it. I promise. Okay. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Be kind and love you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.